Keeps on the recording. Keeps on the recording. It doesn't show. Okay. We don't have time, so we'll just start. Ben Akute is still stuck at Lagos Airport. He postponed his flight, he was supposed to be in Abuja already. Moved his flight from 2 to 5. So hopefully by 7, he'll be here in Abuja. So tomorrow's section. Tomorrow we start from 10. That means you have to be here by as early as 9. So that's because tomorrow will be longer. So we'll be able to cover.
It seems like eating much and this chair is not able to carry it.
It's not able to carry you. Yeah. You can use this one now. So change it. You had a lot of food this morning.
Same thing.
Yeah, I still feeling the same way.
Okay, so then
I could drift back.
Use this one then. So basically this is the second to last brand of the replaced class. So after this I'll do Uyo, then I think I'll scrap this course because there's no profit in it for me. I'm only spending money from Port Harcourt here and also Uyo. So after this one, the class will now be having is the founders brand room. That one, that will be a little bit more in depth, which will be focusing on scaling businesses. That means we would run practicals on a particular business, maybe the business of somebody in class, 1 or 2 persons, we implement. And 6 months later, you're showing us the results to know if the strategies we built. So that's why it's called the Founders Brand. So it's people running businesses. If they want to move from 10 million to 100 million, we develop a strategy in class, implement, and check for the results. So this is like the only theory class we'll be having. Although yes, we'll develop 1 or 2 frameworks that we'll use from this class. That's that. So for those that do not know my name, I'm Jack Haniel. It's Big Jack Haniel. Big Jack Haniel, so Tony Jack Haniel for short. So before we start, I'd like to know our names and what we do. Start with.
okay. I'm just secondly the admin for
Okay. I did not ask your position.
Okay.
Where you work,
Okay,
what you do, as either a person or a
Okay.
business.
Okay, as a person, I have a business into industrial cleaning.
Okay.
Yes. And it's called Gestor Homes and Cleaning Limited. We're also into real estate too.
Okay.
Installation of doors.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the next question, let us go around first.
Just say again. Okay. My name is Poncho Danjuma.
Okay.
I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
Say marketing executive.
Okay.
I'm a co-founder of Close By.
Close
By.
Close by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close By.
Like something that's close
That's
to you.
the exact word of Close By. So it's a platform like Gigi, but powered with AI.
Okay.
And it's created on WhatsApp, but also have a web version
Okay.
of it. And I'm also the creative director of Cyber Technologies, where we do softwares and do brand management for companies and organizations.
Okay. That's nice. Your birds with many feathers.
I would say I have a business that does multiple angles, so in the same function.
It's still birds with many feathers. I have multiple colors. How about you?
My name is Yakubu John. I'm into billboard advertising and industrial cleaning.
Billboard advertising and industrial cleaning. Okay.
My name is Tioluwani.
Tiolua.
Yes.
Don't rush the name. You should say your name slowly. Tiolua.
Tioluwani.
Tioluwanini. Okay, it's not separate. It's not separate.
Together.
It's together. Tioluwanini.
Tioluwani.
I'm a reverse
Just
man.
leave it. It's the
I'm
pronunciation.
yes, I'm a reverse man, so my brain is taking the Nimi as a reverse name.
My
So
name is Demi.
okay. No, but I prefer the other one. Go ahead.
So, I'm an entrepreneur. I make cafe yogurt. I deal with yogurt companies products and I sew.
And you sew. Okay. Okay. So you clothe us and feed us.
Yes. Cafe that. But cannot do that in school.
Yes. Two are very essentials. Okay. My brother behind the camera.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Anderson Brown, business developer and also an IT recruiter.
Okay.
An IT recruiter, you say?
Yes,
You're HR for IT specialist.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so you guys will have to refrain from our space as compared to Lagos. Lagos is too diverse. Yeah. So I asked, okay, what do you do? She was like, she has a leather brand. But the way she puts it, I was like, okay, this is how somebody is supposed to interpret his or her brand. She says she runs a storytelling business that utilizes leather to tell the African story. So the fact that it's a storytelling business and you're talking on culture, that means she has given herself the privilege to pivot to any direction depending on how the economy push her or the environment she finds herself. Because it's storytelling, you can reframe it into multiple directions. You can decide to go movie, you can decide to have a product, you can decide to go into have a service, you can decide to go into theater. But it's a storytelling business that utilizes leather work, shoes, bags, and all that. So now, with this little frame, what do you do? Who are you? Let's start with.
No, I think it's someone.
Okay.
No, I wasn't here.
So, I was talking with someone yesterday and she wants to move back from Lagos to Port Harcourt because of her brand. She's into leather work. She doesn't really make it herself, but she has people that do it and she knows how to sell it. But the way she put it was, she has a storytelling brand that utilizes leather to tell the story, to tell the African story.
Okay.
So it's giving her a frame to pivot into multiple directions depending on the economy, how good business is, and all that. She can decide to be marketing her leather, but what is really bringing in the income might be she doing movies and just telling different African stories, maybe deciding to niche in the Niger Delta or to the Yoruba side or whichever angle. So storytelling doesn't even limit her to just the Niger Delta, the Port Harcourt she wants to come into. So the conversation I'm thinking of having with her is, you're in Lagos, you said they don't really have that cultural depth. That is your brand telling you what to do already. You're telling stories. Go and look for the indigenous culture, various cultures in Lagos, even if they are diverse. Tell the story the Lagos way, instead of limiting yourself to a particular location, so that whichever location you find yourself, you can tell the story and sell your products. So she can be doing movies and advertise her brand. For example, D&G. Okay, let me use Rolex as an example. Rolex, I don't know if you've seen the kind of events Rolex sponsor. Rolex sponsor Formula One. Does Formula One has anything to do with what they're doing? So most brands, they sponsor events or they push into certain direction that necessarily do not look like the product they carry. That's because of what they really are. I'll derive another example. House on the Rock, CCI, most of our mega churches in Nigeria and around the world, they are media companies. The reason why I call them media companies, if you check the things most of those mega churches emphasize on, they emphasize on their branding, their visual branding, their perception development. And it's a media company, media and marketing company that is interested in that first. My perception, how do people see me? How do people relate to our church? What is the demographic of people do we want to attract? To now determine the kind of events we'll start putting on. So they are media companies, but their core is in the Christian space. Their core is preaching Christ. So they utilize this thing and create their avenue for, but through media publicity branding. So now you understand the frame. So on their vision board, they will not tell you they are a media company, but it's a media company. If you look at it from the lens of branding, it's a media company because they do everything a branding and marketing firm does excellently well. A lot of brand and marketing firms copy from them, copy from a lot of churches. From their design to the one that gets me so interested of recent, House on the Rock and CCI. House on the Rock have only one branch in each state. You hardly see House on the Rock having multiple branches per state. That's an ideology that they already established at one branch per state. And then you can see from their design to how their pastor looks, to the choice of building, how they build their church, to the kind of events they put up. You discover that the set of persons that are attracted to them are young people between the ages of 15 to 35. Do you have elderly there? Yes, but check the percentage. 60 to 70% are youth. CCI and Pastor Koju is now making young people interested in studying the Word of God and not just. So how did they do it? Still media, making it interesting, simplifying their teaching to the point that anybody can understand. Even down to the churches that are emphasizing way more on the prayer angle of things. So I'll give one example, and I'm a Christian, so yes, I'm not apologizing for using church as an example. That's what I'm conversant with. Yeah. Emmanuel Aaron said something that most persons, when they come to their church, they are like, why are these people praying like this? Because this was not what attracted them to the church. You're like, oh, these people, they're always yopi people, young pastor. It is Palazzo and always very young man. All their pastors, I'm not sure any of their pastors is above 38. I'm not sure they don't have any pastor up to 40 at the moment. Very young people. So these people, they must be all hyper. And you go there, they are praying for 2 hours, 3 hours. You're praying morning, afternoon, evening, round the clock, every 5 days. What's going on here? That's not typical. It's vibes. And you share like people are living fun. But you see that they utilize media as a media company, perception development. Position yourself so that you're attracted, the people are attracted to you. And then they're attracted, those things that attracted me are still there. But this other part, let me stay and enjoy what I want. And then they win you over. So with that, reframe how you see yourself.
Can we ask some questions as you're speaking?
Yeah, you can. Sure, you can ask me something.
You are relating the Rolex to Formula 1. So what are some of the reasons why they do that?
Okay. If you look at Rolex, original Rolex, not the fake ones, the original Rolex products, what are the kind of people that buy such?
1%.
The 1%. Where do those people go? Tennis, golf, Formula 1, to go watch. So you put your marketing where you know you have the right eyes. You cannot have the one wanting the 1% to buy from you, and then you're advertising on the streets, sharing flyers. You will not meet the 1% of their fruits. There are places those kind of persons are. So it is where they are that you have to put your heart. So that's why I was using. I'm doing that. So with that, I want you guys to reframe. Who are you? Let's start with
Me?
yes. Your portfolio is large.
I would like to summarize it by saying I'm a digital entrepreneur. Maybe that should cover. Because I don't like seeing myself as a specialist.
Why?
I'm a multi-potentialite and I'm going to live with that.
Okay. That's a story. Yes, that's a story you can develop. Yes, because I'm also not of the food of thought for you to have just one specialty. Have as many as possible, but ensure you're 80% good in as many as possible.
So for me, I feel I align my skill within the value chain of what I do. Okay, so value chain analysis normally backward integration, but there are specific things within the value chain of the businesses I do. So I ensure I gain confidence within those things. I'm also I'm a cinematographer. My company is a tech company, I'm a software engineer. Those are things I used to do myself at some point until I begin to learn. I have to go to the engagement. So I ensure everything within the value chain of what I do, I have knowledge and understanding of it.
Wow.
For me, I would say, okay, I went into cinematography because my company is managing a brand, a hotel. They should manage, promote their brand, manage their social media, and stuff like that. So there are concepts in my head I couldn't communicate to the videographer because the terminology I have within that space is limited. Okay. So I had to go take a focus on filmmaking and cinematography.
Just so you can communicate.
Just
not
so
that you want to do it yourself.
There are some kind of concepts sometimes you have to do it to get exactly what you have in mind. Okay. So I had this part of it, but then at the end of the day, I was able to communicate what I needed the videographer to come out with exactly the way he planned.
So all this put it in one word that will make somebody interested to spark a conversation with you.
So if not for a branding class, right? If I'm getting to a place, I just tell the people what I do that is related to what the people must do.
Okay.
So we discuss around that.
Okay.
Yeah, so but this is a branding class where you are given a framework. Maybe I don't have a better framework for framing myself properly, so I'm very much humble with it. So you could see that and maybe there are angles you could help me to compose this way, present this way. But basically what I do when I get into a room, I introduce myself based on the prevailing foundation of what I'm doing, around what I do and what I see is best fits perhaps a client around what I get to do with someone there. So that's basically what I see.
Okay. That's good, but I'll come back to you. Let's.
I deal with
Don't overthink it. Just say what came to you.
I deal with
That's what you do it.
No, I understand.
okay, so let's put the words together. I said I should know about thinking. So I specialize in health-based products, that's yogurt. So what we do is we satisfy your taste bud while also hi. I think I'm right. Please come back to
No,
me.
you're getting there. Keep going.
Okay. So what we basically do is I specialize in health-based products that I like to put it in something.
You don't articulate it, but I'll still come back to you.
Okay. I am an entrepreneur. I'm also a property consultant and I provide services for cleaning, industrial cleaning, and what we do basically is that I sell lands and properties. Yeah, for people, I also consult, like give them steps by steps on acquiring properties, the best place on acquiring properties. We also provide cleaning services. Why? In the course of it all came up in the course of doing real estate.
Real estate.
Yes.
So still, like you said, the value chain, which is very important.
And
Being a jack of all trades, jacking in your value chain.
and then we also specialize in supplies and installation of interior and security doors.
Same value chain.
Yes, for homes. So that's basically what we do.
Okay, that's good. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Start from my side. Okay, so let me start from my side.
Okay.
I deal with advertising, which is digital advertising, whereby we advertise different events, programs, and so on and others. And I'm also into painting and schooling, which led me to industrial cleaning. So that has also given me an insight and a view on how to maintain and bring in a clean environment, which is the house to clean out. So I'm also equally into football, where I have some specials which are number ones I do coach. So I have some points from the range of, let me say, 3 to 5 and above. So I normally train them up, trying to bring out something good in them in their future and their career in aspect of football. So and I'm also a footballer as well. But I will limit myself to be a coach due to the circumstances I will find myself in. So what are some of the areas that I have been into?
Okay, so let me give an example of myself. I'm also a jack of so many trades, and coincidentally, Jack is in my name. So.
And they know you for everyone.
And most persons know me for only one.
Maybe I'll get this quick.
So, okay, she got to know that I also do fashion illustration. So I teach fashion illustration.
By fashion illustration for
Fashion designers, yeah.
where you draw.
Yeah, they draw. So the idea is them bringing their ideas to life. So basically,
Conceptualization.
yes, conceptualization, hand and digital. So I teach, and I've taught in the little fashion academy, PFA, Prudential Fashion Academy, and Furo Fashion Academy. One is in Port Harcourt. I believe you guys know Prudential.
Here in Abuja.
Yeah, in Abuja, Lagos. Abuja, and Lagos. Yeah. Check them out. Prudential Fashion Academy, PFA. I also do cinematography, photography, video editing, like proper video production. I work with Da Vinci. So also product management and product design, UI UX, Figma, product management, fits into that role perfectly. These are things that I've made money from. I'm calling, not like just there.
Just did it cost and yeah.
Also to training people, leadership training, mind development. Also a certified psychologist, therapist.
Therapist.
Yes.
It's certified.
Certified, yes.
Practice.
I didn't really practice.
Well, what is it just to decide what?
If you're doing anything in sales and marketing and you do not understand human behavior,
I think that's psychology. I think
so psychology led me into learning psychology led me into that. Into therapy because I'm training leaders. So most of the times, some of them there is something wrong with somewhere, which is just the truth of it. Yeah,
of course.
So I was like, okay, since my entire ecosystem revolves around two things, on the business angle, I help brands scale. How do I do it? So basically, if someone asks me, what do you do? I say I help brands scale by ensuring that they understand branding properly, and we do it from the ground up, not visual before strategy. We start from strategy before we get to the visual aspect. So there are so many services inside this little frame I just gave it. Then on the leadership angle, I train leaders that can fit into any sector, religious, governmental, emerging or leading leaders. So you can see that the frame now, I did not call my service in any of the frame I gave, but it has opened. Some will be like, oh, you help brand scale. How? So it's now begins to bring in room for more explanation and explanation and explanation, making the conversation interesting on their end, and then you have that. But when you tell someone, oh, I'm a graphic designer, I'm this and that, the person has already framed you on a level, like, oh, graphic design. How many graphic designers will they pay out 500K in Nigeria? But when you say, oh, I help brand scale, and then I discover that design is part of the team we use to help brand scale, you discover they will not price you or see you in the frame of that one service. They are seeing you in the frame of I help brand scale. The value of what you're rendering, not the specific of that particular skill. So, over to you. I already have an idea for this. Okay, let me give you an idea. You deal on healthy foods that are sweet, right? Healthy, sweet. People say they do not like eating healthy because it is not sweet. A lot of gym bros, our food is not sweet. But if you can get something that is healthy and sweet, you frame that story. For fashion, the Furo Fashion, I'm also a partner there. So what we develop is Home for Kings. That's the tagline of the brand. So the idea is we clothe kings. So even if you bring female clothing for us, we work on it. But the idea is for you to bring a female clothing to us, that means your husband is a king. So it's more like putting, since our price is a little bit high, the 1% of the 1%, you play on their ego. You're like, okay, yeah, kings, I'm a king, this guy, it's not everybody and so forth. The fact that this thing is this amount, it's obvious. And then you see your finishing, they're like, oh, these people, they are good.
In all of your conversations, you mentioned marketing in it.
That's the beginning of marketing. Marketing
Oh,
is more like, those things are on the end of things. So we'll get to there.
I'm just asking if there are courses you take on that, or because they're speaking on strategy.
Okay, sales or marketing.
Sales and strategy.
Sales and marketing, it's more like for everything you do, you must know how to sell and how to market. Evangelism is sales and marketing. Yes, Tinubu is currently utilizing his evangelism approach for the election coming. Every government official is now utilizing the ones that worked, advertising what they did, people are seeing it. The ones that didn't work who have to buy. It's all evangelism. There are people that them inviting you to churches because first time their package is food. Something you eat rice, you go with envelope. So that's do I have a certificate in that? I'm not sure I have. Outside social media market management.
You speak so in line with it, so speaking on strategy and stuff like that. I've not heard somebody doing brand speaking on strategy.
Oh, okay. So I think the reason is because of the courses I've taken.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of my mentors, he did a course in London's business school on branding. So 90% of the corporate branding ideologies I have is from him. So him training me and all that, and me, all the courses I'm now taking is not even centered on the design aspect of things. Because people that make real money from branding, most of them don't know how to push pixels. They don't know how to design. Him, number one, he doesn't know. I still do his PowerPoint presentations today. He doesn't know how to design. Yes. This is the person calling. He doesn't know how to design.
He does.
But he's the brand advisor and current brand. He doesn't know how to design. Everything designed about him, I'm the one handling it.
But you can look at it and tell you.
But you tell me this is when he gave me this thing, design brief to do something. I was like, this is how every design brief is supposed to be. You make my work as a designer very easy. It was a 24-page brief.
To produce what?
For a logo. For a branding. Yes.
At the rate of how much? That's when you know how much.
No, for them to give people as that guy, of course. But I believe they're able to.
So
other than the company brand guideline,
they were rebranding totally. So they had that brief. This is that kind of document now gives you as a designer. If you know what you're doing, you read through it and you can advise them properly. And be like, okay, why this? And now you now begin to ask certain questions to understand their thinking and what they want.
for advertising the policy, creative.
Yes, it's creative, briefing you on
so
the expectations and everything.
Based on the strategy of the advertising, you know.
So having that detailed brief now, it makes it very easy.
4 pages.
Yes. And I was happy to read through it in 4 pages. Although the money was part of the journey, but I was happy to see somebody. Okay, yes, it's a big organization. Seeing them being so detailed and not just wanting something on the surface level.
Of course, organizations big as that, they are very, very detailed. Yeah.
So that's why we need this class. So that as we are growing up, brands are scaling, you begin to ensure that you have those documentation. Funny enough, my business have not done up to 1 billion yearly, but I already have a policy document, structure and policy document for once we hit 1 billion naira.
Instruction policy.
Yes. So that planning, some persons will be like, why are you? I'm like, I'm not sure I will have that time when we get there to be doing this. So the only thing I'll do when we get there is review and adjust. I'm not starting from scratch or employing somebody that might not have a complete understanding of the whole and will charge you a lot. So I should call somebody, okay, review this document, you already have something, review, and the person will be happy to review and be like, okay. So let's go in. So the first rule of branding for every business and every person the first thing to look at when you're branding yourself for your business, the first rule is identity. Identity. Who am I? For whom am I? That's who, whom, and what. Who am I? For whom am I? And what am I giving? That means you do not develop your services or products before you know who you are and what you're giving. There is a difference between learning a skill and being in the labor market and becoming a brand, either as a person or on the business end of things. So we'll start with who. I wanted to go another direction, but I remember that I always start on my branding class with this. Who, meaning every business takes the character trait and the attitude of its owner or group of owners. So if a business is not able to scale beyond a certain point, check very well. The problem is coming from the owners. The character traits and attitudes of its owner or group of owners. That means before I start anything branding, I need to first of all look at myself. Because I always tell people branding is more of a root game than a fruit game. You have way more underneath, just like the bamboo tree. It takes 3 years or so to put its roots. And you must see anything on top. And then within 3 or 6 weeks, you're seeing that's 6 weeks after 3 years. You're seeing it shooting up. That's the best definition of branding. So looking at yourself, and if it's a group of owners, you guys are looking at your strengths and your weaknesses. Being sincere. Not because you want to change immediately. Change very necessary, improve very necessary. But not because you want to just switch things up in 2 days, but because you need to understand areas you're lacking, where you need help, where you need knowledge, where you need guidance, where you should take a partner. So somebody that is good in sales and marketing, that likes, when I mean sales and marketing, not the strategy part of sales and marketing, the person going out there to actually do the sales and marketing, meeting people, communicating with them. You're that kind of person, you're starting a business. And you starting a business, you're not expected to do a lot of paperwork. And you don't like it. Not just that you don't like it, you don't even know how to do it. The only long with overhead costs and all those things, it bores you. So that one now you're checking yourself, knowing that, oh, my strength is sales and marketing. My strength is being out there communicating with people. So I can fit into being, I can have majority share, but I'm chief marketing officer. I'm not even handling operations. But I have 70% of shares in the company because I know it is my strength. So I'm bringing in a CEO and a COO, either as a partner or employ them. Because these people understand how to function in that space. So me, I'm functioning in this space. That's the first core of branding, which if somebody is able to do that with himself, it will be easy when you're hiring people. Because you know how to look out first. Before you look out for what they can offer, you're looking out for who they are. And then we already know who's your target audience, who are the people you're looking out for. So funny thing, when I started hosting events way back 2018, I remember the first event, it was in church. I think it was mental engineering also. I had no idea why I was having such complex topics on my event. So I was like, okay, after some years I'll begin to have a lot of crowd and all that. But then after a while I got to think of it. The things you talk about and teach, no matter how simple you make them, it's not for everybody. It's for people that are already actively doing something, actively that leading a group of people or in business. So your room may never be full, except they are inviting you to somewhere. So it took me a while to now frame that, okay, my conversations many of the times will be intimate. Because if I'm having 1,000 persons, things will fly over their head. I like interacting with people. Questions should come in between conversations. If not, me speaking, I'll be bored. I have a very weird brain. I can be talking with you and my brain is in 3 other places. But if we are engaging, I know the names of everybody. It's easy for me to be present. So now I understand that, for whom? Let me leave the crowd to the people that want crowd. Let me have my intimate conversation with people, build businesses, and it's easier for me to track progress that way for these persons. It's easier for me to pick up my phone and chat them up. But when I'm having 3,000 persons, how do I do that? Even if there's a system in place to handle communication, I won't be the one to not be as close as possible. So that's me already framing for my home. So no matter who I am, either in my frame of leadership or my frame of branding, my home is still limited to the intimate level of things. That's why branding for scale. My business, Femora, our tagline is branding built for scale. That has already removed almost 80% of the market from my hand. Because this is a business that, even if they're not doing as much as 10 million per year, they're already in that mind space. I want to scale. How can I scale? So the questions and everything conversations I'll have with them before we even talk of money would either eliminate them or bring them in. So the remaining 10% will still cut down to at least 5%. So you can see that me knowing who I am is trickling into almost every business I'm doing. That doesn't mean there is no room for me to scale anything I'm doing and have a very large audience. There is room for that. But then the core of every event would be more of something like this. So I said, okay, how can I scale that? My mindset was, have your set of classes over the years, build it to the point where each training will last a month. So the next training will be 1 month, it's not 2 days something. Each training will last a month. And then at the end of the year, be it for branding or for leadership, at the end of the year, you have something like an event, more like a graduation kind of thing where everybody gathers. And I've utilized my intimate level of things to also scale it up to having 2, 3, 4, 5,000 persons in the same day. to have your intimate classes smoothly. Having up to 5-6 sessions a year, and then at the end of the year you have an event and invite other persons that were also not in the class to just come and connect. So do we understand the foundational basis of branding? About what? Okay, your services. So now your services should not be what you like. Never should your services be what you like or a skill that you feel like, oh, I'm good at this. No. Your service should be based on the problem you're trying to solve. I was having a conversation with some months ago with some presidents, and I made a statement and they were wondering where did this one fall out from. I told them that you can be unique and useless at the same time. I have a very unique idea, sweet, nice, and you're having the whole butterflies when you have an idea. You're a developer, you understand? When you have a beautiful idea, the whole butterflies and the energy and passion.
Thinking unicorn.
You're thinking unicorn.
So is there anything you want to do, any business, you should have passion for it, you should like it.
No, it's the rich people that are saying that.
I will move on to that, don't worry.
Okay.
I know this is similar conversation I was having with someone. I was in class, in a class like this, right? A filmmaking class, and the director himself was busy. I don't know, maybe he was trying to portray himself as something for the people there, but I kind of object to that because he was saying he writes scripts and does film for himself. That's what he likes. That is for himself. Because someone asked him, what would you want to be known for? He said he doesn't want to move anything. He does film for himself.
Only you will watch
So
it.
I told him that only he told me that there are millions of people like him. I told him, so we were not talking about the idea of branding. So he said he's not interested, he's selling, and it's one thing. People are paying for customers and events. So I just had to leave the conversation and let's just leave this.
So for business,
They don't want to be known. They don't want to be put out.
He's not clear.
They sell.
I don't think he does, he's not honest with his inner truth.
Okay.
If he could dig into that, there's something about him that wants to sell what he does.
Yeah.
There's something about him that wants to be known for something. It might not be, maybe not for money, but for a good cause, or I change the good something. Maybe perhaps it's just not. I think if you could have a critical conversation with you where he's open-minded, and arrive there.
Or maybe it's way of presentation.
Maybe.
somebody is there.
Yeah.
Good evening.
The map has not
Very-
the map has not shown that this is the exact location.
I didn't even go through. I don't use the map.
Okay, sorry,
Okay, so when it comes to business, when it comes to what you're passionate about, keep passion aside for business. Because business is numbers, it has to do with profits. No matter what anybody is telling you, if you just want to chase only passion, go and have an injury. Yes.
But
Open and
if
honest.
you have passion for something, when there's no money, your passion now starts to replace
That's to tell you that your passion was to fuel you entering into it, but can never sustain you. What I like is teaching. I love teaching. And that's the reason why when I started teaching, I was not making any profits from like 2017 till 2020 something. I was not thinking, I was just passion because I had my this is 11 years in branding, design and other spaces. So I had other things giving me money, so I wasn't thinking passion. But now looking at it, that this thing is now taking a lot of money from me. I have to ensure that it's profitable. Let's be sincere. I will have a session that deals. So what I'm doing now is the emotional part of things, where I'm dealing with people dealing with grief, trauma, and all those. That one I can make it for free. You come for the class, you learn, but once I'm pairing you with a therapist or somebody to a counselor, you have people. I know the trauma trying to come for myself. When you're looking at words, you're not, the reason why what is last is because you need to know who you're serving first. even as a person, fella know who he's serving.
Yeah.
No matter the shades, no matter how they say, no matter how more you say, oh, Olodo, he is serving a set of people. And he's content to keep on thriving. Because he's feeding that set of persons.
Yeah. I don't know this.
It's just, yes, if you want to tell it like that. Yes. And then even some of us that are saying, no, he's an Olodo, sometimes if we scroll and for whatever reason he's on our FYP, sometimes we stop and like, which nonsense is this? You're already engaging. It's ending from you criticizing his nonsense. So although you're on the other end of his home, you're still part of his whatever. So before you develop any service or any product, you need to know, who am I serving? And you knowing who you're serving, you go deeper. What are their problems?
Yeah.
So that I don't just develop the product, I just develop something and it's not solving the problem of these persons. And then the problem is divided into two. You're having the problem they know they have and the problem they don't know they have. Yeah, there are people there are businesses that don't know that they are ready for scale. So those sets of businesses, I'll have to go to them, not them looking for them. And show them this, and tell them, oh, give me 3 months. If I do this, and you get so number, you give me so percentage. Don't pay me off. They'll be like, okay, let's see what you can do. And maybe they now hit. And me, I even exceed my own expectation. They'll be like, this guy is collecting the 2 cents of this 100 million. Would have just given him his 5 million that he does this thing. So you knowing who you're serving, knowing if their problem is something they know, which you do not require educating them at that point. But if it's something they don't know, you will start with education before you now solve the problem. So you make food, you make clothes. What are the problems in that space?
So when it comes to clothing, most times for ladies, we feel like beauty is not comfortable. You have to
I have a lot of experience because of PFA. That's why I'm reacting that way.
And I would opinion that because I don't like snatching. It's very uncomfortable. So I feel like there's beauty in comfort. You can look good, you can be outstanding and also be comfortable. So you can have everything. You don't have to do it.
Are you seeing that you have a story? This is so who is she targeting? People that buy in wholesale. So that if they buy at 3.6, so she doesn't sell anything below 20 to 30 crates. What is her profit margin on it? Very little. She knows that this is something that restaurants, even homes, some persons stock up egg up to that. Gym bros. 1 crate of egg is not enough for 1 week. I sincerely, sometimes I eat up to 6 eggs a day. That's food for me. So by the time you do the numbers, you see that I'm also part of our customers. So on that low end, her profit margin per unit may not be above, depending on where she gets her order from, may not be above 1,000 naira. That's if it's ever get to 1,000 naira. Her profit margin might just be 300, 350. But do 300 times 2,600 crates, which is what she currently sells every day. Do it. I want us to do mass on a simple level, just understanding who you're serving and thinking on the level of scale, no matter if it's a small business and if your profit margin is just 10%, 10-20%. 2,600 crates, that's 300. 780,000 per day. Do it, let's just do 5 days a week. 5 times 4. No, just do 5 times 4 first.
5 times 4 first.
Yes. Just do 5 times 4.
Nice place.
20 times 780,000.
times 20. 15 million.
50 million. 15 million. She's making 15 M per month. Profit, not revenue. For something with 300 naira profit margin. Because she understands who she's serving. And knowing the market, knowing the scale, and saying, okay, I will not sell this thing 1 crate by 1 crate. It will be more difficult for me to recoup my money. Currently now, she has a Chinese investor that wants to invest over 100 million so that they can have their farm for egg business. So now you understand, know who you are, the kind of things you can market. If you give her she has also said that if you give her a luxury product to fail, she cannot market it for you. She will not be able to. Because that's not her niche. She doesn't know that. But when it comes to small petty stuff, bring it to her, she'll scale it to a new level. So she knows who she is. She knows the sets of people she's serving, no matter the frame she's entering. Before she starts creating things. You see, she has gone from having bookkeeping company which is still existing, structure it, left it, teaching, which she does once in a while. And now she's selling eggs. And she helps somebody that is selling plantain chips to scale plantain chips. So you can see it's not about how glamorous the whole service is looking. I can decide to do this class online, drop it to 5,000 naira, and I'm having 5,000 persons. And I'm not spending any cost for flight or anything.
That is the who decided who.
That's because of the who. The who you are, who the set of persons building the company are, determine a lot of times, determine the set of people you serve.
I don't like mass market products personally.
That's it. So now you see that now have framed the set of persons maybe you're going into business.
Yeah, I prefer few people better organized than a large people with specific people.
So now if you want to go into mass market, you rather be an investor than being the driver.
I don't like this invest. Because as I'm seeing this now, I'm now seeing the kind of challenges you might be facing, the cost, and that's what's really my
because so now you say, but she doesn't think in that direction. She now, you bringing a luxury brand to her, she's not thinking, this thing is,
I just really get few.
one product is 500,000. How do I now think this thing? How many persons? She should prefer the game of numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers on the end of how many alerts is coming in. Others prefer the game of numbers, let it be one, but that person is doing.
I thought for the bookkeeping she sells software.
She doesn't sell software. She has a company that makes the process very easy. If you want them to teach you, they also teach you.
So they used to go to the shops to be able to.
She has her process. They come to her, she advertises.
Because someone that's not doing bookkeeping is likely lazy. So I would just want to come and see carriers or come and meet you.
Is the conversation we are having on somebody liking the skill part of things and not wanting to. So you doing knowing who you are, your character traits, your attitudes when it comes to business, even your personal life, 90% of time how you behave on a personal level, it shows, reflects. Somebody that is everywhere and scattered, check very well. You will miss some minor details.
Yeah.
When I checked, I'm like, you're a very creative person, but you need like arrange. I found to first of all change that attitude of not keeping my space arranged first. And I saw that it impacted. And I started thinking some other little, very minor. Sometimes somebody will be like, oh, and I'll spot it. Sometimes I'll send a design with a typo error to a client. My mind is, I want to see if this person is spotted. I do not spot it, I'm like, okay. I've improved.
I think if something wow you really cannot say all that it is. except if the person is skilled in that discipline, then the person can be critical of what they are saying. Else they will just enjoy the beauty and
Yes, now everything is okay.
yeah, they will just enjoy it and that will be
So that's the thing of understanding who you are. So now, if I'm someone that if I see something beautiful and I do not take time to say, oh, I like it, it's perfect, but I do not take that extra 30 seconds to check those details, then I should have somebody that does that in my business. They'll be like, oh, I love it, but this is the person that handles QC for us, quality control. So let him look at it and tell me if there's anything that doesn't align with our brand guide. And I love it too, but it's a business. I have to put a proof on my business so that my business is also safe from me because I have my bias.
sometimes you have to speak about what you see.
What you see, like in the dream, you have like,
you come back and look at it.
like what is this head?
Something very exciting at first. You look at it the second time and the next morning you'll be like, did I saw that this thing was alright? Why was it like this?
So that's the thing. So basically, this entire thing is you defining yourself. So if you're now working on an already existing brand, it will now come in the frame of diagnose and define. You cannot build what you cannot define. What you haven't defined. You cannot build what you haven't defined.
That's the second point.
Now, I'm saying looking at it in the frame of an already existing business.
Okay.
And we already have things that are existing. So we cannot build what we haven't defined. So I dropped something on the group.
Yeah.
So let's look at that document. So it's diagnose and define. So let us do some diagnosis of our business. So every brand stands on 5 pillars: identity, positioning, voice, visibility, and equity.
I was speaking from the stuff.
Have you seen the?
Yes.
So it's a worksheet. So I'll explain some things and then. So still on this, another example I'm going to give is Dangote. The idea of monopoly, as many persons will call it, that it has, did not start today. Dangote started with buying and selling. But his idea was, what if I'm the only person, like 90% of the sugar, I'm the one importing it. 90% of the rice, I'm the one importing it. Before he then moved to okay. And okay, I watched an interview and he said that the person in charge of Bank of Industry then told him that if you can spend this much importing, then why not invest in having the production here? So he started having factories. So you can see that even down to the oil and gas that he finally entered, he still has that mindset of controlling the African market. So who he is, even if now you give them the only granules, you look for a way to ensure that it's the only. So that now boils down to the strategic relationships he makes with government and all those stuff. You see that his behavior, his attitude around business is different from every other person because his mindset is, I want to be the person controlling 90% of this market. So if anything affects me, the entire market is affected.
So even the government
will be affected.
We can't just come and
Because currently now Lagos State is the highest taxpayer. If you check well in Nigeria, it's the highest taxpayer.
of course, it takes money.
So if his business is affected, Nigeria's GDP will be affected.
So whoever the president is, he will align with you, but you have to align with him too.
So you can see that mindset of the monopoly is not just only in the distribution end of things, so in the kind of relationship he's using. So who he is on top is, I must have control, which most of us see as a bad thing, which is not. Why do you think the whole Messi and C Ronaldo, you guys saw the video I dropped on the group, the whole Messi and C Ronaldo, those are the two persons selling out the World Cup. And for those that are not seeing the underlining, they've transferred the ability to sell out to the World Cup to 4 persons at the moment. I think 3 or 4 persons. Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, and Yamal, 3 persons. That's why Messi did not win.
Okay, so they were doing a bit, just doing a chance.
Do you know how many billion have gone into the World Cup? Won't investors make their money and make profits? I should come and be looking at your sentiments, saying you want football to win what football and my business. What's happening? Don't watch Premier League. Premier League has a system on its own that even who is going to relegation earns more than who won La Liga. Yeah. So go and watch Premier League. Now football will always win there. Leave World Cup for investors to get their money. Because if you check, I watch most of the matches and I can see and I understand because of my knowledge in branding. These people they just want to make their money. It's business.
It's business, sure.
Their system is not strong enough again that it can teams. Now it's individuals that sells out the destiny. Not teams. In England, it's teams that sell out. Not individual. Individual can only sell out your merchandise. But an individual you cannot play certain theatrics. There will be problem. Before you know, you will have 5 to 7 teams putting up lawsuits against both the organizer of the competition and the clubs. So that's what Dangote is doing. So, and one thing about who you are, you should never stop at a point where, because this is the frame I see myself now, you being sincere, saying this is who I am at this moment. You stopping there and not improving. So this is where I am. You being sincere by yourself. So okay, but this is where I need to get to. I want to develop this mindset in the little space where I find myself. Where if I'm running a church, everybody in that vicinity, even those that do not want to come to my church, even those that are Muslims, even those that they would want to relate with me, not just because, but you already have that frame of the kind, which will now impact the kind of personality traits you have from good. Which will now affect, the church where I am, if I do this and do this, these are the issues I'll have. You now begin to look for a way to ensure that, since this is the ideology I want people to have about God and about what I am doing for God, I will know how to navigate through the issues that may arise with the leadership of the church, since I'm not the one that owns the church. So now you see how knowing who you are frames everything. It's easy for me to get any skill. So what I need to build is character. I have character, but I don't have skill. What I need to build is skill. Okay, let's look at the 5 pillars of branding. So it's all I have said at this moment. I'd like somebody to just give me a brief, short understanding of what he or she has got. Don't try, don't use that word, try.
Let me see what I have learned.
Exactly.
Branding deals with perception. How you want people to view you, how you want people to view your business. So there should be how would I put it? Also has to be character.
Yes, sorry to cut you. Anytime you're not very sure about what you say, just pause. you look like you're thinking. Don't say, I don't know how to do it now, don't do that.
Okay.
Just pause and do like you're thinking. The person will be interested. Go ahead.
Okay, so it uses character development and how you perceive your brand. So before you create a brand, before you start a brand, you need to know who you are, your target audience, and the problem you want to solve. And most times when you're talking to your target audience, you should communicate the problem you think that they have, that they know that they have, and the ones that they're not even sure that they have, so that you can stand out and they can appreciate your value.
Thank you. Okay, before we look at the pillars of branding, what do we have on the document? Identity positioning.
Voice,
Okay.
sensitivity, and maybe history.
Okay, so let's look at that document before I go ahead. What was supposed to? So with the little I've explained, I feel you understand who you are, identity. So you guys can see the questions. No, I need to explain identity. Let me use an example for identity. Let me use an example. Which example? Let me use. Okay, so if your face is removed from your business, the first contact people are having with your business is someone else, not you. Maybe your secretary or someone else. Would that business be able to thrive without you?
Without you or without the face?
Without you as the face of the business at this moment. I'm asking you based on your own business and what you do.
Okay.
Yes. So the example, I still have another question. Let me ask this next question first before I give the example. The next question is, if somebody go on your page, you do branding and a lot of marketing related stuff. Someone goes on your page and your business page okay, going on your business page means they've already logged down to your name. Somebody sees what something somewhere, maybe a design or a product, and sees the product, and would the person be able to know that, like say this guy handled inside this thing, or he was part of the team, or he was the one that handled the project. For example, for people that know my designs are hardly you see me do anything complex. One color, two color. Not that I don't know how to do complex designs. I design for CCI too, so that you know that I know how to do complex designs. CCI is always everywhere, colors and everything. We have everything there. So when some person see my design, they'll be like, you know how to do all this photo manipulation and I'm like, that's because my identity, this is church. I'm not being paid. But if I was being paid, I will not work for a church that doesn't tilt towards the minimalist aspect of things. This, I see it as me giving value for God.
Yeah.
But I want to collect money. No, you don't stress me like that. I call it, it's not that I don't know how to do it, I know how to do it excellently well, but it's stressful. Because my rule in design is communication before beauty.
Yeah.
So 90% of people seeing it should have the same. Let us know that is the other 10% is that something is wrong with them or there is still a mistake in my work. but 90% of people should come to the same conclusion about the design, including somebody like colorblind. Yes.
The other is gray and white and black.
That's why you stick to certain colors, because there are people that are colorblind. And I gave that advice in church that yes, our designs are beautiful, but a lot of times it doesn't communicate. It's beautiful, I will stop and look at it, but do I understand what I'm stopping to look at?
Don't you think you are looking at it too professionally?
Thank you very much, because thank you, because in my mind I see the church more as a media company that is preaching Christ. That's how I frame it.
Yeah.
Funny enough, they had a meeting of recent, and now 90% of the design direction is accessibility, meaning accessibility is a big grammar they use, simply communication. And one of the design lead in charge of South was made a statement that somebody that is colorblind should be able to see. That's it. Thank you very much. It's now people are coming up to an understanding of how design on a global level is supposed to be. Yes, we can do all the background and all those stuff, but when it comes to the text and every other thing, everybody should see it and see the same thing. So the fact that it's a church, you see, that's another thing we need to remove. The fact that it's a religious organization does not mean we should not treat it professionally.
Not necessarily about it professionally. Okay, I'm not looking at it now from what the people looking at it. I don't necessarily see some of these things you're saying. Since you're calling it design, I see design and these guys like good. Like, for me, I think it's the consistency of it. I didn't even really have the general design team.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, because the consistency is too much.
Then that's where I was now breaking down to the idea of identity.
Yeah, it's too
So
more than some
it grew from the point of we being free to use certain things. That's why I'm a fan of out of the box thinking, yes, but that outside the box, there must also be a bigger box that you're playing within. Like you said, you being a jack of all trades, it must be this within the same value chain. So there must be a bigger box where you are allowed. So even if I bring something from outside, I must pass it through the lens of this bigger box. Does it fit? And if it fits, then I put it in.
It's the brand guideline.
Thank you very much. So we developed the brand guideline to the point where, at first, it may feel restricting to have only 2 fonts for 95% of the designs you're doing across the world. But you discover that now there's consistency. It's now easy for you to spot when people are copying you, and you know, okay, let's change direction to this point.
But do the designers struggle with that?
Some struggle.
My designer seems to struggle with your brand identity. And if he wants to just go and design, you can go and design. But give him a guideline.
They're not
specific colors.
They're not professional. It's not professional. It's not a professional.
I think that's the problem.
I think the word is not trained.
That's why I say it's very professional. Professional is trained.
The professional is the person that is trained.
So
it's finding it difficult. He could design, but stick to this brand guideline is a problem. He must jump one way or another.
So it's not trained. So that is the entire conversation of identity. Where if somebody sees you anywhere, you'll be like, despite the fact, sorry for calling names, it's Assemblies of God on the design. We know that now CCI is a design like this, now House of the Rock is a design like this. It is because of the consistency over time, you've seen that this identity is to this set of people. When you see somebody with 80 boy, you know that, oh, is either a Rivers man or from Edo or from Delta. It's from that. When you see somebody with the outside regalia, you're like, okay. It's when you see someone with senator, you be like, oh, this one is normal. Anybody wears this.
For the CCI, it's a church, and those graphic designers are doing it for free. How are they getting people doing work for free and so on with such consistency?
That's another conversation of identity, which we'll talk about as we proceed. Culture.
Okay. They train their media team there.
Not really.
How
I already had.
Because I think those guys. CCI is the number one.
I already had at least 8 years of branding experience with private CCI design.
So, okay, you need to have some years for
before you can actually do something else.
Even if you come there, once you
Even if you come, you still,
yeah.
you'll be on probation. Me, they never put me on probation because
They
they already know me outside church. So when I came, they're like, they don't want to drag me. I said, man, don't stand. I want to be protocol. They're like, we know your hands in this industry. Come here. I've forgotten what
You were talking about the culture. You said it was a culture.
Okay,
that
culture.
showed the consistency of that.
So it's culture that when we talk about identity, most persons see identity only on the visual end of things. Like I said, branding is first of all a good game before a food game. So before people begin to see and recognize that all these people have some level of consistency, it's down to the culture, down to the mindset that is in the team. And that mindset starts from who? The person that started the entire thing. How is he able to communicate and put his mindset into people? And it now looks like, in some extreme cases, like they are being brainwashed. It's the ability to communicate, the ability to present an idea in such an enticing way that people buy into it. The Bible is how many years old? Way more than 2,000 years old. Because while before Christ and after Christ. But then, don't you observe that they are just mere words? They are mere words. So that's the power of language. So building a culture, building an identity still boils down from internal culture. Is what people see. If you own a business and you're somebody that you make the entire atmosphere very unconducive for your team, for your people, they get you angry at home, you carry your anger, it is transfer of aggression and all those stuff. You discover that your HR will surely transfer that aggression to other staff members. Customer service, they have customer will talk to them. You go change up, be like you change up for customer in the feed. Customer is paying their salary. Because in business, it's not you as the owner of the business that is paying people's salary, it's the customer. But then if they see their boss on how he handles some complex situations where the business is at fault and needs to more like water the ground to ensure that the person is okay and try to make the person happy. And see how he does that with his staff members. You discover that one way or the other, the staff begin to pick up some of those character traits. Outside the fact that you should actively train them on based on their department and the kind of characters they should have, you discover that people begin to pick up the traits. Two people get married, next thing, a few years later, you're saying, I don't behave like a husband. It's culture that has transferred. You hearing the person say the same thing over and over and over. So be it negative or positive, that's entered, whether you like it or not. That's how our mind works. So it's now building an identity. You that everything must be prim and proper. Now you come back through shoe outside. Because somebody has been able to influence you to that point. Or the other way around, somebody that will come back and through shoes now come back and say, my wife. So you're seeing that identity, and you discover that those little details that are adjusted either intentionally or non-intentionally, you discover that in your workplace, it begins to happen. And then 90% of the identity as adults that we have at home, we got it from work. Except now that people work from home. Because if you check very well as an adult, how many hours do you really spend at home? Most of your life you're in the office. Most of your week, most of your day. So it's the culture from office, most of us. It's the culture from school. Most children bring home. So you can see the identity part of things has to do with leadership most of the times. Both self-leadership and how an organization. So that identity part of things. Okay. So the questions we have there: does your brand look identical across every touch point? Could someone screenshot any page/post and know instantly it is you? Do you have documented visuals and verbal standard? Are your physical and digital identities coherent? So you answered the question out of 5 for your brand, be it personal or business. Answer it. We'll look at it.
Sometimes Papa just write it down.
Yeah, write it down. But we understand the idea of identity.
Yeah.
Do we all understand? Do you have a question? Yeah, ask a question.
I'm trying to understand this identity. You said it has to do with culture. So, I want to break it down to me very because from what you said, I got a lot of things that I don't think.
Do you see what you just did now? When you were thinking, you just paused. You did not say, I don't know how to put it. That's an identity I've already passed to you. So you understand? So my identity when it comes to words, I'm very careful with how I use it. So even when I want to insult you, I don't use vulgar words. I'll use words in such a way that it will take you time to understand. You might be sleeping and wake up and like, no, this one was insulting me. So that's my identity around my speech. So even if I'm pissed and I'm angry, I've learned how to control myself to the point where my words must never be vulgar, both to myself and to people. So that's an identity I've built on that end. So looking at it, that's more like my verbal identity. So how a business speaks.
For example, now if you go to Chicken Republic and you order, the next thing here is 99. Then you tell, like, you have to communicate the order to the person that's going to do it.
Yes.
So that's like, so if I hear 99 anywhere, I know it's Chicken Republic.
So that's their verbal identity.
MTN now. We say everywhere you go. So that's the identity.
Yes. So let me give an example with that identity. B&O. How many of us know the brand B&O? Brand Bank and Office Song. I think that's what they call it, or something like that. That means they're into speakers, headsets, TV sets, and all that stuff. Their brand language is we serve the 1% of the 1%. They will put out an ad and say that they are telling you they are putting it out just for you to see. They know you cannot afford it. So their verbal and visual language is simplistic, but then their verbal language is proud. They are a very egocentric brand. So the goal is to make those in the 1% of the 1% that know they can afford it will not feel insulted. They'll just buy it because they need it. But their target market with that ego-driven approach is the middle class.
And I want to look into.
People that will be like, why will you say I cannot afford this? Because the 1% of the 1% buy because they need. Not because they want to show off. Be like, oh, I have a shortlet. These are the kind of equipment I want to put. But you want to show off that you're using D&O. You rush and go and buy. Their cheapest earbud is, I think, about 700k.
Earbud?
Yes. You buy an earbud of 700k and you have 200. Only 200 naira. And you're telling somebody to do regard card because you want to look.
And I might not be aware that's what it does.
Exactly.
But interestingly, B&O is part of branding, right? They also have partnership with HP from airlines book upwards.
So
Then I used to see them on the
yes.
speakers and
Even
stuff.
things now they have with Infinix.
Symphonies also.
So 90% of Infinix phones is tuned by B&O. So the speakers and all that. So they understand something. So in business, that's why, like you said,
Value chain stuff.
the value chain stuff and quick to when you are talking about quick to markets. The one we are doing the egg example.
Okay, the mass market.
Mass market stuff.
Yeah.
So for every business, I like to call it the crayfish model. You should have something that is bringing in those your small income. Let's say something that's
Consistent cash flow.
consistent cash flow every week. You have that thing that is giving you that 30K, that 100K, that can handle some basic things. So it gives you that space to be able to scale your high tickets. Because high tickets might come twice a year, once a year, and the spacing most times is unpredictable. It might come at the end of the day. If you don't die, before your client is needing you. Because the reason why I say that is important, I would like to use myself as an example. Since my business now is focusing on brands that are ready to scale, that means the number has reduced because I'm very sure not many businesses are doing up to 10 million naira yearly. Let's be sincere. Not many businesses are doing up to 10 million naira revenue yearly. And inside that 10 million, not many businesses have up to 10% profit margin. Not many. By the time you do your running costs and everything, especially product-based businesses, and they suffer more of this product-based. They suffer more around this as compared to service-based. Service-based is easier for you because production costs. So for the full this thing, premium bespoke, that was this 2026, January 2025, I did a review. I love numbers. Yeah. So I did a review of the accounts and everything. That was when I actually actively joined as a partner. And then they had already done, I think, 30 million in revenue. 30 million in revenue. So it and all that.
We did for the same year or
for the same year. For that year, 30 million in revenue. But as at when I checked, account was minus 700K. We're in debt of 700,000.
wow.
So I would say, running costs and you know when
they teach or what do you do?
When you said?
You were talking about the fashion.
The Furo Fashion Academy. So I handle their branding based
So how
on.
would the fashion academy?
And I was no, it's not Fashion Academy. They were just sewing. We just introduced the Fashion Academy this year.
So they sew.
So they just sew.
How do they get minus?
I'm doing one of
It's
them.
mine like a service. I'm explaining.
Okay.
So when I did production costs per unit for each dress, each up and down, each dress made. That was when he understood he was running at loss. Running at loss in the sense that he could not account, he could not account for how many clothes one roll of thread can sew. So I told him this is how you do your per unit costing. One roll of thread, how many clothes on an average does it bring out? If we get fuel at 15K per day, how many clothes, if we're having our 4 tailors on ground, can we produce? So we calculated all that per unit cost and discovered that for every unit production, it was in, I think minus, I think about 7K. Is
Because you see the side hustle. How come he's running this thing, that means
That's the idea of, that's what I'm saying. Some people are good in the skill part of things, in being the face of the brand, but don't understand the idea that.
And the business has been running.
But then, funny enough, because it's a brand that people so bulk, you discover that your account, you're getting 500k, 600k, 700k coming in, so you feel there is money.
I agree with you on that.
Because you don't understand by unit cost, you understand?
But I have the person I introduced into my cafe business. She does it on large scale, supplies supermarkets and everything. So me that I'm always complaining about it. When I calculate everything and the price I'm selling it, and she's selling it out for that price, I'm like, how are you selling this for this price? You only do bigger, you're using a lot of content. So she will say because she's doing bulk order. So
But
she
you
will
know
not
it
pay.
was bulk order.
So at the end of the day, when we have conversation later, when I'm complaining to her, relating this work and this, she now say sometimes you feel like closing out the business because of this or that, a lot. So because it's a lot, you don't know that.
You feel that you have money.
Yes. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's like there's
Maybe it's
something.
a side hustle.
No, see, you're saying it like this because I'm sure you love numbers.
I don't have to do numbers. I can't do you understand?
Do you like numbers?
Of course.
I don't like numbers.
Especially for products. See, I can go wrong with this for a service-based business because I'm rendering skill.
Yeah, a lot of times there are some things that are not tracking.
I'm not even tracking now. I can fault for this type of stuff. But you can't even go this type of loss in the service business because you are producing something.
That's because you enter the business, or I'm very sure you learn your skill because you want to make money, you want to make profit.
Perfect, exactly. That was just the reason.
It's not about passion.
Which passion?
Thank you very much. So people like us that don't enter business for passion, we never have issues with wanting to know the numbers. Okay. You want to
10 minutes.
Okay. We never have issues with wanting to know the numbers. So the reason why it was at minus 700k because you need to pay the rent or the production.
I was not counting cost of rent.
Thank you very much. So I then walked him through the process, incorporating everything, and told him price of each has to go up to a minimum of 150k per piece, depending on material to stay in profit. People were complaining, you're getting expensive, I said, I'm only telling you this because it's you know me. If I'm going to run the business through and through, that will be 250. Because my concern now, I'm already thinking, how much do we pay each tailor per production? Because the goal now,
you don't pay salaries.
no, not salaries, per week. How many you sew is what will pay you. If you do salary, you will suffer for tailoring business. Yes, you will not make any profit.
There will not be
I mean, I will delay. If it's me that's that tailor,
No, you'll be sorry because you know that the money attached to
you know that per shirt you're having your 2.5. Depends on how many shirts you finish per week will determine how much you collect at the end of the week. So if I now have a fixed 25k per week, I will sew one pot for one day. So now that cost of how much you are paying them per production, but we divided it. Somebody else is handling trousers, somebody is handling shirts, somebody that is good with 80 you alone, except we have large order of 80 that's when you not separate to other tailors. There's somebody handling strictly urban. So that separation and everything. How much are you paying per unit? Because these people are good. People love your finishing, not because we are the one matching the machine, but because these guys are good. How do we keep them if they are not being well paid? So you see why the importance of knowing per unit cost, to know what I'm to put on top for damage control, cost of and everything. So that's why you do not do business because you like it. You do a business that you can be profitable from, which will make it easy for you to pull out from any business when you see that I like this thing or there's nothing inside.
But now I have a way of thinking, but I'm not saying this one. You find out that most of the time when you want to pull out from that kind of business, people are saying, no, it's all about consistency. You just have to do with the years, you stay.
Jim Rome said something. There is a difference between consistency and stubbornness.
Okay.
Stubbornness is you are seeing that all things good, all things equal. This thing will not bring anything positive, and you stay inside. That's stupidity. That's stubbornness. Consistency is knowing that looking at all things being equal, there is no profit in this, and you stepping out. Saying, let me go to another direction. The consistency is in your personal development and in the growth of your business, which will require you not to be so fixed to the point that you cannot pivot.
For instance, Dangote started Dangote noodles, and he knew he could never make profit from that business. He was running at deep loss. He pulled his price down, thinking that he can get monopoly there because Nigerians like
the mindset we are talking about.
Nigerians like noodles. He ran away. The Dangote we ran away from noodles.
Do you know why?
He left it.
Do you know why? Let me explain the reason why. This class is getting so interesting. We'll spend longer time tomorrow. The reason why is because Indomie has bought off 80-90% of the noodle space to the point that we call every noodles Indomie. Give me Indomie.
Give me Dangote Indomie.
Give me Dangote Indomie. The same way Star also bought the space.
Maggie.
Yeah, Star Maggie now, but we don't call it Star. We call it Maggie. Yes.
I think it's not the seasoning, but
It's the seasoning cube.
there's Maggi under seasoning. But generalize everything.
Everything, Star is Maggie, everything is Maggie, yes.
Even when you want to buy detergent, how to buy Omo.
Exactly.
Maggi is a brand.
Maggie is a brand. It's seasoning cubes. Seasoning cubes.
Yes.
But you could also be a brand and still not making money. For example, Maggi, they're not making money.
Oh.
Yeah.
The very Maggi.
The very Maggi, the very Omo, as branded as they have been replaced because they stopped branding.
Yes, because they stopped.
Indomie knew that a generation will come that they will have to service. They started going to secondary school. I got from secondary school. As a man like this, I still eat Indomie like it's my best food.
Indomie and bread, those are the only two things as healthy as I'm eating. I've not been able to roam from my meal. I will eat Indomie and go away for 3 months. One new style will enter my head. And when you now know how to cook, it becomes worse. I'll be like, oh, let me do this stir fry pattern. I'll with my eggs and everything, soy sauce and everything.
I've succeeded in removing bread for 1 year.
Nah,
Sir?
I can't remove bread.
Never.
Jesus is the bread of
If I
life.
try it for 1 week, I will sleep.
Not for me.
I was eating so much that I was like, this thing, so I left it. 1 year. I'm not taking it.
See, I think I should say
I
this.
didn't feel anything.
You tried.
I like it.
No, it was too much. I was always eating bread. I don't like something to get hold of me like that in my life. Nothing should have such kind of control over me. So I just cut it.
But me, I like the code I have.
From what I said, something just came to talk. From what I said, and I mean, most times, many of us, myself included, we make a name thinking we are building a brand.
Yeah.
Make a name to be a graphic designer. You don't have a brand at all. You are a name. And people who are building brand may not be as good as you, but they are getting the money that you are not getting. Why? Because they are now a brand.
People buy into brand, and a brand is a person. So just a little example. Every business brand is trying to be human, and every personal brand is making itself a business because it already has.
Till you say that again, we don't get to say it again.
Every business brand must try to be human, meaning you must get to the point where people can relate with you. Then every personal brand must become a business. Why? Because you need to make money despite the fact that I can relate with people and meet them at the point of their. Simple example, Eric Uma is a brand. Why are people going for his events? Because people are listening to those his short shenanigans and sensible and nonsensical talks to the point where they now know that this guy is not just creating content because he just wants to create content. He understands certain things. He has an identity, and these people now are beginning to tilt towards that identity. So as he puts up his beyond conversation and beyond convention, you're seeing he's always sold out. Because he has built the brand around he has built a business.
Those conventions are paid events.
Yes, they're paid events. They're all, including people joining online. Although yes, it's 1,000. So you're seeing that his personal brand is now becoming a business. Despite the fact he's keeping that real.
Yeah, he does not do no promotion.
He doesn't do promotion.
He doesn't do
I've
promotion.
seen him promote done promotion for Gigi.
Okay.
I
think he
I,
did
I,
one for-
personally, I will intend reaching out to him for close by brand.
Yeah, he did one for one tech brand like this that teach. A tech brand that they teach.
Yeah, I said he's doing giving laptop out.
Yes,
and things
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
So, but I think he doesn't post it on his page. Maybe I think that.
He does it and they use it as
on
that.
their own
Yes,
page.
not on
Yeah,
this page.
I think we did that.
So for that's just the whole idea of building a brand. And the thing about this whole branding thing is ensuring that you're meeting people at the point where they can relate with you, where their emotions is triggered. Because all our buying decisions are all emotional, no matter how logical we try to place it.
Okay, sir. Okay, so looking at the ecosystem where we are now in Abuja, I'll use two examples. One, I'll use the entertainment space. If I call the company name, I don't think any of us will know it. I am. Does anybody know I am?
No.
But there is no major event that happens in Abuja that is not covered by I am. I am. I-A-M. Not, it's not church. It's an acronym. I am. There are events, the branding events,
Screen, light, and
light,
sound,
sound, all those
So
things.
that's more of a media company.
They know whom they are to service. So while we are looking for the small urgent 2K, 50K, they are doing business of millions, hundreds of millions.
So okay, now let me.
My question now is,
Okay.
my question is, for such a brand who has already taken an ecosystem or taken a space, I'm not calling ecosystem, I'm taking a space, how can one be a brand with little resources and try to play in the same space with them?
Okay, so the mistake you make is trying to play certain games with the company that have money.
So I'll say connections there.
So the thing is this now. For example, let's use La Casera. I don't know, I've not seen, okay, I don't drink fizzy drinks, so I don't know if they still exist again. So let me Coca-Cola, La Casera, of them. Coca-Cola, we know they rule the market, they rule the world. They are selling a feeling constantly. They are old enough. Coca-Cola marketing budget when La Casera started. Coca-Cola, if they invest their marketing budget into La Casera will become a unicorn because of the investment of. So you can imagine what the company have. Just marketing budget, we won't talk of legal budget, we won't talk. So we want to go and play. So the game now, like I said, did was, who are the people that buy this Coca-Cola? They are most of these persons are on the roadside. Let Coca-Cola take the supermarket stand for where big man and people now we enter, won't enter Market Square, Spa, and all the rest to go and buy. What La Casera did was, they were the ones that really initiated this selling drinks on the streets. Roadside pockets. So we give you the hawk and you sell and bring us the money. So they are not giving you, you're not buying from the outlet. They give you, sell, come, we give you another set, you sell, you come. So now they are going to sell. So now when you are going and you're having your only lacasera in the container, they're like, oh, give me Coke, we don't get Coke, and you want to drink a fizzy drink. It is only lacasera and bottled water. So you understand, they place the monopoly game below where these people can fight. Yeah, do your heavyweight fights. I know I'm straight. I'm no more than 60 kg. Let me go and fight my needs. So that's how, like Sarah, entered the market that period. Bringing it directly. So you see Coca-Cola, but it's when you go to the shop. But on the street, you hardly see it.
So something like in the real estate business, using Abuja also as a study. How do one who is already up there, for example, a company like M-Shell, right? No matter how Promised Land make noise, we all know Promised Land. How many of us know M-Shell?
Promised Land is not bigger than M-Shell.
Eh?
Promised Land is not bigger than M-Shell.
Promised Land is, they just start, they don't get nothing. In all sincerity.
But that guy is loud.
He makes noise.
But the money is loud. So, yeah. I'm not into real estate. I don't really know how in terms of what. But if you ask me now, I'll say Promised Land before M-Shell.
No,
I already saw M-Shell having some investors with some white shares.
So let me explain that. Just like you were using the media company as an example, visibility for business. When I'm talking visibility, talking perception building, there are businesses that you're entering into the market. You don't need billboard, you don't need adverts. That's you putting money in the wrong visibility.
Yeah.
When the person with the ability to pay is in transport, and from transport is in his tinted vehicle, and his eyes 80 to 90% of the time is pinned on his laptop, him doing something, closing a deal or doing something. He doesn't have the time to raise it and looking at billboard, say, oh, copy number. So where those persons are, you will be that I've seen based on people's conversations and maybe opportunity to see any of their showcasing, you discover that the environment where their showroom is not close to the houses of these people. It is in the same environment where the offices of these billionaires are. So that it's easy for these billionaires to walk into the office. So I won't be visible where. How many billionaires have time to watch TV? Somebody gave me $100 billion and is looking for his profits. I should come and watch TV. I don't understand. So you understand? Those people that sell to the 1%, not even one, top 10%, less 1% is to top 10%, most of them, their marketing budget is not on the digital end of things.
Sure.
It's not on the digital end. It's still visual, but it's not on the digital end of things.
And I think we overemphasize the digital stuff.
Yes.
I think it's overhyped.
It's overhyped. In some businesses, it's overhyped.
It's really overhyped. It's really overhyped.
But in the city of Abuja like this, you are going to do billboard, you are wasting your time. Sorry to say. So that's just
There are
it depends on your business.
Word of mouth is still strong. Though.
Yeah.
There are circles you will be in, like things will revolve around you. I've experienced that personally. So
I feel the digital
And that's
end
why
of
CCI
things-
media people go to CCI to do media, because that's how they make their money. They do for free. The word of mouth
Yes.
goes around, and that's how they
yeah,
make
but
their
you
money.
can't see what those guys are doing and don't. I've seen an average video editor. The guy was doing something awesome with her phone.
Yes.
And I don't think maybe they're using her, but just with her phone, what the girl is doing, kind of editing, she will go and snap church, those after events and all of those kind of solid. Some villages don't produce what I used to with a CapCut.
Yes.
It's awesome. That's why I was saying, you don't pay those people, how do you get such level?
So okay, so the thing now is another way is the freedom to play around is given. Will it be used? That's another question. But you're given that freedom to play around, to experiment, you understand? And it is by proper experimentation and correction that's where growth comes. That consistency.
There's someone you are seeing.
And you're someone that you're looking up to say,
okay,
yes, this is. You're like, oh, this is where. So the question was, the suggestion he was talking about, that's where positioning comes in. Knowing, since you know who you are targeting, knowing where these people are, and positioning yourself in their face. People do not buy the best products. They buy the most visible products. The product might be digitally visible or might be the old marketing that people, I don't call it old marketing, marketing is marketing. Traditional marketing that most people are trying to fade out. But you're in their face. Just imagine you're meeting somebody, try this parfait. Person say, no, I don't take parfait. Say, try. You've told the person 4, 5, 6 times, try this parfait. You get the other person, so yeah, give me, make come up for this place. And the person now tried it and like, okay. So there are some clients that you have to go to their face where they are. The person says, oh, I don't like parfait. Why don't you like parfait? Or say this, okay, it's unsweetened. Be like, okay, I can make something that is still healthy and sweet and match your taste bud. What are the kind of flavors you like? And now you're beginning to produce something to fit that client. The word of mouth you get from that kind of person now will be, she doesn't make the regular perfume. She makes something that fits your taste and what you like, but still keeps it healthy. So you can see you positioning yourself, the right person seeing you. If it's digital, you go full force there. If it's you being in certain spaces. So for positioning, so I think would positioning. So have you answered the first one on identity? So for positioning, the question is, can you state in one sentence who you serve, what you do, and why you do it? Would your 3 best clients describe you identically? Or could you be confused with a competitor if your name was removed? Do you own a specific defensible market territory? So when you're talking about specific defensible market territory, let me use this example. When he was talking about the media company I was talking about, he said major events. Let me ask, the event, is it mostly church events or every kind of?
It's almost never church events. It's almost never church
Almost
events.
never church events.
Mostly government.
Mostly government. Mostly government. Thank you. So that's his market. That's his market territory.
Like Remita.
You understand? That's his market territory.
And they don't have people, but they have products. So they outsource people.
So the people that make the most,
They have all the gadgets you can ever think of in your entire life.
Okay, so they are also the
Cameras.
manpower to come and do it. They don't employ.
They employ your fee.
That's how do they maintain standards?
okay,
Just like this, you have briefing. You will come for different briefing from day
Before
one.
you go to church.
Yes.
Yes.
That's how I feel every media company is supposed to run.
how would you now vet?
Have seven core staffs, and then 90% of your staffing should be contracts.
For what's that? I mean, you know, for some of those media stuff, you do what's it called? This we call the terms of agreement sometimes the long-term stuff. Right? You have to manage.
That's why I said contracts. Contracts. There are different terms in contracts. I can have a contract with the company for 3 years, but I'm not in their office. They only call me for some specific jobs because. And then if I'm not available,
how is the terms of payment?
The terms is based on job you deliver. That's why it's contracts. It's not salary. Contract is okay. We're doing this production. It is 7 days. This is for every production. You're just on call. That's what they call it, call duty.
But the numbers will not be profitable for. Okay, I also the contract with the videographer for granted. But the numbers is not to my favor than if I employ that person.
If you employ the person, okay, based on the contract,
it's more profitable to me because I will be able to use the shoots for multiple brands than if I put more on the contract. It's just for a brand.
Okay.
So that's why I felt how are they doing it? Because employing someone gives more leverage, means you can do more with this person. Than with that guy, except it's a bank contract.
Now the question is, how many persons that do work to a very excellent level in our creative space want to be locked down to a job? That's based on the ecosystem. That's
most of my stars are real, right? They are very, very good. I'm a very, very big fan of them stuff. I don't go like if I have my way, it's just that it's not possible. I'm going to have a physical office space.
it's not possible.
No, I know it's not possible. I know it's Nigeria. I know it's Nigeria, but I know it's not possible. But I just really, really wish I could run things that way. But it's not possible. That is why I find that God has come to work with people who can work without supervision. Because
how many persons are
really
like how many persons report here in the day?
Just 2 of us.
This entire building, 3.
This one is for aesthetics now. Based on what they do, I don't know what they do, right? But
This is a real estate company. They also have a tech arm and all that. But they have a branch here in Port Harcourt, Lagos, Kenya, and
it's based on what they do. There's a representation they need to make with this kind of stuff. Else they don't need this. It's more a waste now.
it's not.
For their level,
Economically, what are you gaining?
It's not.
If not for the level they are, what are you gaining here for using all of this?
It's not. There are some kind of clients that if your office is not,
and that's the point.
That's the economic leverage of having this. You understand? A lot of high ticket clients, your space is necessary.
Yeah, it's very, very.
Because no matter, like I said, all our buying decisions are emotional. No matter how logical we want to make it, to say, oh, he looks like he cannot deliver the job.
Yeah.
But who has the better building and the better look and the better might not be able to deliver, or will still contrast that person in thoughts to not be able to deliver.
Because I think I almost found it, but perception is key in business and branding.
That's the branding.
I walked up to somebody that I know could actually pay 100 million for a property, and he was like, "I will get back to you." I just know I've lost it.
And that's what I will get back to.
Do you know the experience? I was not with my card, I was with the phone, and I gave this guy my phone. Called his number, he refused. And what did he do? He just turned his phone like this. So I'll get back to you. If you don't understand, just leave it. He just did like this. And I'll get back to you. So you have to look.
So
if I'm buying an iPhone 17 now, it's not because I need it. I have nothing to do with iPhone 17. I am okay with X and 7.
You need it. You know why I say you need it? It is, I think we have a wrong ideology of need. You need it in the sense that you having that device now serves as somebody seeing that I'm worth having conversation with this person. This is a high ticket person. So funny enough, I was talking to someone and the guy was like, oh, bidding for a contract that would run into 100 and something million. I will not use both and go there. I will hire a SUV for the entire day. Sure. Because some persons will be like, oh, this guy is nice, he knows what he knows his. I don't want to dress They don't go wear suit, or be normal. Few even wear bedroom slippers. But there is what they will see you enter. They'll be like 100 million is not just for a problem.
You are not hungry.
This guy is not hungry, he deliver the job.
Yeah.
But they come down and see you, you're climbing bike.
Have you ever heard somebody sack a client?
Clients.
Yes, I've seen somebody I just sacked, one client I just sacked. Yes. If a client
sack you or you
I sack the client. If a client is not behaving the way he or she should behave, let it go. Just simple as
If
that.
your price is like $1 million and the client is not up to you, sacrifice this client.
So yeah, an example, and Tony Robbins gave an example on this whole sacking client stuff. So you know he hosts a lot of training sessions for businesses and for people. So he said there was a time in his training sessions, it's now he does just 4 days training. There was a time in his training session of 17 days. Now age, so he has to reduce it. So he reduced one of his training to 12 days. And somebody was now complaining that after she had made payment, that he's cheating her. Exactly. So he was like, the person, the rep that picked the call, was like, find out how, it was like the information and everything is giving this and everything. And he knows himself.
That
who mentor me plus my track record joined together. I'm solid. It was like, okay, tell the woman that they should refund refund her money and tell her that she's banned for life from attending any of his conferences. So she was like, oh, that there are other people that also do that. So he said, tell the people to contact us, we'll refund them their money and they're also banned for life. The woman was like, you cannot stop me from coming to the conference. Yes. So the woman was like, you cannot stop me from coming to the conference. It was like, we've refunded you. We don't want
they
you.
paid the event now, so you didn't pay all you
Yes. She went for the event too. They stopped her.
We got a grace too.
So he then came down to handle the matter. So his staff they were being careful not to. So he told he was like, why are you here? Have you forgotten I'm the person that is cheating you? I don't want to see you around. Leave. The woman was like, I thought you said there are people that, where are they? So that we can give them their money and they leave this place. I don't. The woman was like, so after she came the next day to, he didn't let her in. So the woman wanted to apologize. So he was like, you have to be very sincere with your apology and ensure that this does not ever repeat itself.
Wow.
There is a difference between when I'm at fault and I'm not acting right, and when you are at fault as a client and you're expecting me to, no. Customers are not always right. If you're wrong as a business owner, apologize, ensure you try to make things. If the customer is wrong, tell the customer you are wrong, guys. Okay, so for positioning, have you answered between 0 to 5?
Should we write down our answer?
Yes, write it to me. We'll still look at them tomorrow. So we'll look at voice, visibility and equity tomorrow morning, and then the remaining path before being equity will think up with us. So we'll look at the remaining tomorrow morning. Any question? Any contribution? For identity. Okay, tomorrow let's look at it. Any question, any contribution to that?
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
So from this, from what I've learned today, I'm doing the services I need now. So how can I market my, so for example, my market business, I want to narrow down my target audience to event planners. So servicing events, indoor, outdoor, event. And sometimes you might not have the opportunity to meet them like one-on-one. How can I market yourself online?
Online, you look for event organizers. 90% of event organizers
So
or
how do you arrange your portfolio to make it attractive for them to say?
okay, let me give an example. Let me use the comedy industry as an example. You have MC Monica, you have AY, in Port Harcourt, you have Q Baba. If AY is hosting an event and you say those are the set of persons you want to work with, remember that most of these people that have this event, they have companies that handle this. So you reach out in two ways. Reach out to the owner of the event and the company handling this. And then your first 5 reach outs, don't expect profits. A lot of times, the issue with businesses is when we are at the beginning building stage, we are expecting profits. Somebody now will have a certain client, and this is 10, 11 years in various businesses. So I'm more like, have the right to take what I want and drop what I don't want. For somebody coming in, you do not have that much leverage as I do, except you have a pulse that is backing you so that you can survive even when regardless will talk to you, you'll be like, you refund the person money and you hold your respect. But in that situation now, your goal is, I don't know if you have the capital. If you have the capital, you supply to the event. And your request should be, you should at least put a down payment for production cost. And at the end of the event, they give you your profit. They give you your balance. But now this is how I do the ideology of production cost. Damage control should always be inside production cost. So that if there is a problem, I can solve it. I'll give an example. I was to print for, I think this was like the last election, I was to print A1 posters for one senatorial candidate. Say they needed 1,000, no, they needed 3,000 pieces. I called my printer in PH. He said that, oh, they don't have that machine. That is in Lagos I can print. I was like, okay, run the contacts. How much? He rushed and gave me a figure. I said, don't rush. Come down and give me the price. Price is printing price, material, color, style. It changes. And depending on the machine, they have big DI, they have small DI. So ensure you're sure about this cost. He gave me a cost, telling me, I think he was telling me, he told me 200 for each. Me, I did the charge times 3. So I did 600 for each. Because my ideology of charging, if you're calling me to print for you, that means you have money. If I'm not to handle it, I'll direct you to my printer and go and discuss with him. I'm not dragging, and if it's not a large quantity print, I'm not doing it. That's because this was like 5 years into the business. So after I charged 600, first deposit was 1 million. The man had already sent 1 million. That means he has committed. Then I wasn't very structured, so I wasn't giving him invoice. He has already committed. This was Commissioner of Information for Abia State. This boy called me and I was like, I've already counted profits. This thing go well, bad as the bad. The least 400 times 3,000. Then it was good money for me. The guy called me and said that each is 500.
Okay, 200 out. He said 600. Okay, wait, the printer guy.
And they've already made deposits.
Oh, guy, you
And I can go and tell commissioner.
How will you go and
as if you're playing, you don't know.
can't try that.
And I was referred to handle the print because he already has printers handling his
No,
stuff.
I'll take the loss.
They will collect the fund.
I won't try that.
So just imagine I did not add damage control in my costing.
You have to go back and destroy relationship.
And relationship and reputation as well.
And there's no American.
And there's no aware.
500 from 200.
From 200.
This thing you are saying has happened to me. That's why I'm very careful. Just what you say. If somebody, what is the price? Are you sure?
And check.
If it's something I have to go there, I go there myself. Especially when you know you are not the one.
I was in Abia State, and this was Lagos.
Somebody will put you under under serious fire and you just be wondering.
Profit of $500,000, more than $500,000, or dropped to 150K.
So
You just go when they switch you again, say, because you want to mention, man, what people got.
So if you hadn't put the
So if I want to understand that production costing is to ensure that if there is a problem, it is not your money use and solve it. That's one issue most persons are having because their production costing. No, outside the fact that it's a government firm. So if you're doing it for a private company, you tell them that if there are certain issues, these are the issues that will incur the cost. These are the issues that will not incur the cost.
So people don't want to hear that. So don't use your head and put this inside the figures.
So the thing now is use your head. No, you don't do. There are situations where I don't do 3x. There are situations where it's 2x. There are situations where it's 1.5x.
Yeah,
especially situations where I just do 1x. Is if I just add. It's if I'm the one going to the printer myself. I know the exact printers I use for specific things now. Then I do not have leverage. Now the printer that prints my billboard is not the person that prints my DI. The person that handle construction, maybe box, maybe I'm making box or this thing, it's not the person that handle my trifold. So I have various people for various things in different states. So I know this one, I know what this one can deliver. And when they see my job, they fast track it. If you want to go by yourself, you will repeat another price and you will meet delay in delivery.
I think what especially when you have other competitors that are ready to give at the wrong price, and then your client is also looking at that, how do you handle it?
That's not that. You can go. Somebody has the money to compete on that level. You don't have the resources. Do you want to kill yourself?
Sometimes you're not the only one who wants to.
That's something that will be.
That's the truth. I accept it. So sometimes other people will be left because of you too.
Yes.
Just like this.
But something that I experience in this our training because they are guys that are ready to do it sharp. Though it may not be professional, but as far as something just they are just going to get something they're ready to offer.
That's the thing now. You're a professional. Me, I've told people that somebody was like, oh, just for logo, why are you collecting 500K? I'm like, you're not paying for. I can do that in within 10-15 minutes. I may stay 3 days trying to take out the concepts, going through all my research and everything. And 10-15 minutes, I might be sleeping, one idea will just come and wake up and I put it together. But what you're paying for is for my experience. Because number one, I am ready to go through multiple iterations without getting pissed off with you. Because you gave me 1 million.
Yes.
And then despite the fact that on our contract, I'll be like, okay, we have 3-4 iterations. And these 3-4 iterations will be me willing to ask you questions, listening, and then we go over things intentionally. Not me just say, oh, let me just create whatever is in my head. And then I'm not just giving you a logo, I have a process, and I even, for some cases, if the fee is up to 3 million, I will train your team, I will put myself out of work. The new thing I'm integrating now is I'll also create a brand OS that can create content for you. So I will train either maybe I'll use either chat or Claude to create a system for you, strictly for your business, educate it with, after our proper questioning and everything, give it the brand guide and everything, that it can do some basic designs. And I'll be able to train your team for communication and everything down to. So with the person collecting 25K for you, be able to do this back and forth with you. Does the person have access to the team that he can call and say, no, do this?
So most times I also think of pricing as a brand. It's not just for the now. Because once people start knowing you for 1,000 naira, by the time you go up to 5,000, they would not want to come for you again. They will think you just want to.
So that's my question.
No, they will think you just want to make money. They will go and look for somebody who is doing 10,000 and pay that person. Because they think that person is better than you. Because they will come to you when you know nothing as a beginning brand.
So let me use an example. Bamboo, I also do some branding for them, but I don't work in the office, in the office. I know the business personally. He currently has up to 5 designers, 3 on his payroll. The other 2, he calls them when he wants some specific things. So 2 of the current projects I'm working with, I did not do the logo. When I saw the logo for one, I was like, wow, I love the idea of this one. Yeah, that's open. I like it. Funny enough, we did not pay this guy more than 50,000 for that. But my bill, which is also a friendly bill based on our relationship.
Disclaimer.
No, actually, based on our relationship, it was 1 million. And I was like, okay, that's why I'm calling you. And we've gone through various iterations, we've reviewed the marketing copy and everything. All that's just design and wait for him to bring copy. I generated 4, 5, 6 documents after our questioning session. And then sent, he reviewed, like, then I went to his house. We sat again, another set of questioning. And then we now begin to develop again. We change this, address this. So who will do it for you for 50? The person go best for you. So the goal now is, if somebody is willing to spend less on professionalism, you let the person. You even give the person a reference. So, okay, you say it's 25K you have, but I have one of my boy. Somebody you know that 25K will be a lot for. I have one of my boy that can do the logo for you. If he ends up doing what you don't like, my hand is not here.
Yeah.
You understand? That disclaimer is very essential. My hand is not there. You say you want to be good for 25K now.
Why did you refer me?
So the thing now, I have a list of people I have trained. I do not charge this amount. I cannot take this amount. So you can use either of them. So the reason for that, some persons will be like, oh, I'm expensive. I currently have 5 staffs. One is based in Abuja, the rest are in Port Harcourt. These people, I have to pay them. The guy handling my print management, for every job he delivers, I have to pay him. So I should now charge you normal printing price. No, I'll send you to the printer. And I'm not gatekeeping the numbers of my printers. They can go. But me, I'm informed the printer. It's not Jack. So, because there was a job I delivered of recent. I called the printer late. I was like, we need this thing tomorrow. He sent it to the Akwa Ibom office to print. So that mine will be out. So he paused every other person's job because of our relationship. And you want to go to the printer directly. And the price is giving me, yes, he charges me his normal price. I'm not even looking for discounts. I'm even ready to pay a little bit more so that my job comes out faster. One of the days, one of his boys came to deliver a print at an office I was branding. And as he saw me, he was like, see you on the wonder why Oga they rush them like this. No, say na Jack. So some persons they're like, oh, your job comes out fast and it's of good quality. That's because I've gone through the bond of having bad jobs. Now I have relationship with who can deliver what for me. So I will not start competing on price with somebody that does not have the relationship I have and the understanding of the business I have and the people I have that can work even when I'm not on ground. So I will refer them to somebody else like Tracy. If it's spoiled, disclaimer.
It's true, I want to
Okay, so that we would have time to get home. Abuja everywhere is far from everywhere. We'll call it a close here. So tomorrow, please, we should be seated latest 9:30 so that 10 we can kick off. And tomorrow will be way, way longer. We'll sit here at least minimum of 4 hours. So let us go home, sleep well, eat well. I'm ready for tomorrow.